Welcome to Beauties and Beasties, the independent pest podcast for the UK.
Hello. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Well, we've already got some people in. So, Wayne, well done. You are first through the gates, closely followed by John. How was your week doing, sir? I guess you literally just stuff your face with Vicky's there.
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been a good week. What have we done this week? It's been a pigeon week, to be fair. I think we've shot pigeons on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
You're not going to appear in the newspapers, are you?
The what, sorry?
You're not going to appear in the newspapers, are you?
I don't know. Hang on a second. Let me turn this up. I think this is quiet at my end. I'll actually be full blast. I'm not going to what?
The pigeon saga that we had last week.
Oh, fucking it's over, isn't it? Yeah, it's done. It's done. No, we've done. Yeah, that's probably why it ticked us off a little bit, actually, because we're shooting them, and we could have been in exactly that position, and felt like we're being thrown under the bus, and we weren't. We've done a bloody good job, but anybody who hasn't had a winged pigeon down that they haven't been able to pick up or find is like, that's why it got me. Probably why it got me goat so much, because I was thinking that could have been us, and I felt like it was making us look like we were not professional.
Well, I actually did get some. If you want to talk about it, I got some clarity, because I did give Scott and John a sort of like, after that, I was like, why did you sort of like do this? And they said they weren't asked, they weren't told the details of the case. They were literally asked by the newspaper, what would you do to control pigeons? Which is why it was such a nondescript, vague answer. You should do this, and this. At the time, they had no idea that there was a story about to break about pigeons in this thing. So it goes to show you, be really careful when the media ask you for a quote or a clip on something, because you don't know at what sort of like reason that they're going to need it for, because they were given no context, so they gave a no context answer.
My radar says that's probably not true, because that case there was like 3 days into it, wasn't it? But then I'd looked, before I mentioned that, I'd actually looked at all of the previous responses that have been given, and all of them were exactly the same. I couldn't find one instance where they'd robustly defended.
Let's not fall down this road again. I have been asked by the media to give quotes on things like so when we had the bed bugs in Paris, I was given, I was phoned up by Witch magazine, for example, asking for quotes on how to deal with bed bugs, and they asked me time and time again, what can people do to control bed bugs? And I carried on saying, use a professional. And they said, yeah, but what can a homeowner do? What can a homeowner do about bed bugs? And I was like, use a professional.
Bring a professional.
Yeah. So how about sort of like apple cider vinegar? And I was like, oh yeah, that's great, do that, and then call a professional. They like, the newspapers have an agenda, and they will, they'll get the quotes, and if they don't get it from you, they'll get it from someone else. So
maybe that's something that both associations need to be mindful of, that if they're being rang about something, it's not like they turn around and they say to themselves, do you know what it is? Tomorrow, I think we'll run a story on cockroaches out of the blue. Do you know what I mean? It's because fucking summer's been shut down.
Because they'll sit on these things till a slow news day. They'll ask, like this one that's coming up at the moment. So this is an interesting one, actually. At the moment, there's a newspaper article out saying, Pest rat sightings are up 10% this year already. Everyone I've spoken to has said it's been really quiet for rats, been really quiet. And it comes from like literally one newspaper has asked Rent-A-Kill, and they've just said we've got higher than the average number of calls. And so suddenly, with that, the national press is running with the fact that there are, 10% more super rats in England than there ever have been before. I'm sure Rentokil weren't attempting to sort of like, that wasn't the message that they're trying to send. They were just asked for that.
I
But
followed up with them a little bit this week.
what, Rento?
Yeah, they've done us dirty. Well, they haven't done us dirty, but they've tried to do us dirty on a job which I thought was a bit shit. Like, actually, it's our pigeon job. We've shot like, I don't know, fucking thousands of pigeons off there, and it was Rento who are doing it, and they do the rat work, and that's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm not a prick. So they've got a big audit coming up. So I'd said to the bloke, like, obviously, have you give them heads up that the audit's coming? Because it is coming, and you don't want them feeling for a sticker on a box or whatever it is, And they come in, had a look, and said, "Oh, we need to come on and do the pigeon shooting on here because there's pigeons living in whatever." I'm like, mate, like, you've been here the last 3 months. You've seen this go from literally having 3,000 pigeons on site to having 20 pigeons on site. You know what we've done, and you know that you've been shooting it for the last fucking however many years, and it's that there because of that. But like, they still couldn't help themselves trying to throw you under the bus to get that sale. And I thought, do you know what it is? Like, next time, I'm not going to remind them to tell them about the audit. Well, I will, because I'm not a prick and I don't want the customers to fail. But you know what I mean? I was thinking their need for the sale is absolutely, like, it's uncontrollable, isn't it? It is like, it's this thing which just drives them, like, even to a point where we've never done them dirty. We've never fucking sold them down the river. We've never tried to stab them in the back route like that. Like, and I think it's just bred into them, isn't it? That they're gonna wallop you if they can.
They've got a phenomenal sales force team behind them. I used to see some of the training that they had. You had your technicians trained by the technical department, and then you had a whole sort of like symbiotic training for the salespeople and the I'm trying to remember the names they give them, but those first in the line who are selling the boxes, who are upselling and cross-selling all of their services. And it's as comprehensive, if not more, than the actual technical training that they go through. So yeah, there's probably an element of that. But as you always say, this company, it's got Rentokil. It's got mouths to feed. It's got more mouths to feed than any of the rest of us. Yeah. So obviously they are. You've got that. Yeah. But I notice here we've got Tom. Hey Tom, how you doing? Tom sent me some really good footage, actually. I don't know, he probably sent it to you as well, of the rats in the drains. He's put a drain camera in the rats, camera in the drains, looking at how these rats in the drains are interacting with the one-way valves and the rest of it. And he's got some really great footage. I absolutely love looking at the footage of animal behavior when they are, acting naturally and they don't think that they are being observed. And in one of the bits, you can clearly see. So I don't know if you've ever seen like the various stages that a rat goes through when it encounters a novel object, but they do a series of sort of like really interesting and predictable or sort of like routine behaviors. And one of them is the very first one they do is when they spot that there is something new. They will stand pretty much back feet on front feet, and then they will pivot their bodies forward, so they will stretch as far forward as they can, and they will sweep all of their whiskers into a line in front of them, and they will sort of like drag the whiskers across, because with that, they're keeping almost all of their body away from the danger thing, and if they need to, that's how they can sort of like jump back, like disappear back with absolutely no like in half a second. Those reaction times as you see them evading traps as they spring and explode backwards. So it was a really great bit of footage to see this animal interacting with the non-return valve, just to see what it was and what it was doing, and decided that no, it wasn't going to touch it. So it'd be really interesting, actually.
Before we grab Peter on, I'll see if I can share it. Let me have a look, see if I can.
You have got the video then? Okay, Tom, while he finds the video, just give us a thumbs up. Is that okay for us to share?
No, I've asked him. He said yeah.
No, okay.
He has said yes. Where the hell is it?
That's what I say. I mean, I talk about Church Farm a lot, and I promise not to go waxing lyrical on that. But at the same time, it was Church Farm, for anyone that went there, was a phenomenal opportunity to watch rodent behaviour in, in the wild and in nature, because you'd see all of these behaviours that you wouldn't normally see, being a technician on the ground wandering around. Let's be fair. Usually when you see a rat, it is steaming past you at a rate of knots, trying not to get caught, or it's sat tucking its nose out from underneath something. So being able to watch these animals in their natural behavior, in their natural environment, is absolutely phenomenal. You got it there?
I'm just going to wait that 1 second. Oh shit.
I think actually, one of the best ones I've ever seen. So you talk about it, but when female rats go into postpartum estrus, they will release a flood of sort of hormones and pheromones into the surrounding environment.
I think you've got it. Stand by.
It'll send the males into a fury, and you'll find the males will follow them in throngs, which is mad.
Share a screen. Share a window. This one. Share. Think that should be it there. So if I click, can you see it?
Yeah, it's playing.
This is what I was saying, isn't it? This is where the theory and the practical don't marry up, because you see, you hear that theory from people all the time, don't you? Saying the rats go up to it, they push through the valve, and they can't get back in. They allow them one way but not the other. But it's the prime example, isn't it, of it's the prime example of the theory often isn't. And I think what happens as pest controllers in every walk of life, when something is said enough, it becomes the truth, doesn't it, whether it is or it isn't. So I've seen that behavior. I've seen that behavior fucking loads of times. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen them push one through. I don't think I've ever seen them push through a valve.
I've seen them push through things.
Tom's going to show us something different, and he'd be like, "Look, I pushed through the valve, and I'll be wrong, and everyone's happy." But I don't think I'm going to be. I don't think I will.
I've seen them push through valve-like devices before, because of course that's the whole concept of most live capture traps, and especially if you have a look at the tin cats out in the States, that is exactly the premise of the tin cats, which is basically a little sort of sliver of metal that is a one-way return valve. So it does work. It's just a case of, does it work in this context, and does it work well enough to actually provide any meaningful impact on the treatment that you are trying to achieve. And what will be interesting is recently, we had someone has developed a one-way return valve for air vents, haven't they? We showed that a couple of weeks back. It'd be really interesting to see whether or not they have any effects in clearances from houses. Any which way, shall we bring our guest on? So our guest this week is Pete. So without further ado, actually, I know I can do a. Oh, I can't done it is. Hang on a second. What is it, like this one? Hey. Ooh. There we go. Welcome to the stage, Pete. How you doing, Pete?
Yeah, good. How are you, gents?
Doing very well so far.
It's Friday.
It is, isn't it? It's Friday. I've got next week off, so that should be absolutely glorious. First time in a little while. So that should be
good stuff.
Yes. So Pete, welcome to Beauties and Beasties. We see your name sort of cropping up. You listen often, you chime in, so you don't need to explain to you what's going on here. But for those who don't know you, who are you, and how did you get into pest control? What did you do before you were a pest controller? What was life before rats?
A few things. So as I am at the moment, I've got Integrum services. So we are a specialist pest control company. We do a lot of work across aviation, critical infrastructure, nuclear sites, as well as doing your normal pest control. So I think my kind of background, I was thinking about it earlier, and my first pest control job, I was 12, and bit of a story. I was going to get my shotgun and firearms certificate. At 12, that's what I decided. And the local farmer had a shotgun cabinet, and the deal was I could have it off of him for £200, and I had to catch rats on the farm. It was a battery chicken farm. So at 12 years old, every rat that I caught was worth 50p to me against the gun cabinet. So I learned fen traps, I learned trapping, I learned not where to put your fingers at 12. So that's kind of where it started for me.
So how many years have you got left before you get your gun cabinet?
I'm still waiting for it, mate. Still waiting for it. Interesting site. Interesting. It was a battery chicken farm out in the sticks, and it was fairly quick going to take out the rats around the site. But then I had to get creative on sort of the leading hedgerows coming in and sort of cover crops that the gamekeeper had. So my trapping that should have been around the building extended to about a mile from this farm because I was so keen to get this gun cabinet. So then I could apply for my shotgun certificate. So that's kind of where it started. I worked in game and wildlife management. That's kind of my background where I started. I did that at college along with agriculture. I was a gamekeeper for several years in Hampshire, Sussex. Then I shot over to the States, where I had a job working for the Department of Natural Resources in Wisconsin, which was really interesting. That also involved trapping bears,
as you do,
which was really interesting. They'd done quite a big sort of recruitment campaign in the UK, so they had a lot of people that were very academic within them, but not many people that were practical. So they had lots of people that could explain the theory of doing these things, but couldn't actually put it into practice. So yeah, did that, come back over to the UK, done a little bit more gamekeeping over here for a while, which then sort of led me on down to the pest control side of things, where I worked for Cannon Pest Control back in the day when Cannon was a thing, part of OCS Group. Started as a technician there, covering sort of southwest London, with my now business partner, Jamie Naylor. He was the neighbouring technician. And then sort of made my way up through Cannon to be the ops manager for Cannon Pest Control, with Tim Bloomer. Tim Bloomer was my boss, the lovely Mr. B, and worked there for several years. Really enjoyed it there. And then with the rent-a-kill buyout of Cannon, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Jumped over to Merlin Environmental as their operations director. So worked with Merlin for several years, which was great. Something completely different with the detection dogs. So learned an awful lot about the detection dogs and how that works. Worked with Adam there. We expanded Merlin to a very good level. And then I sort of, the seed was set in my head, and I thought, do you know what? I could do this. I could do this on my own. So that's when I started Integrum, and like probably everybody else that started their own business, lived by the phone, staring at the phone, waiting for the phone to ring, trying to grab sort of every job and trying to learn about a million things that you don't have to think about as a pest controller. Trying to learn about Google AdWords, trying to learn about algorithms, trying to learn about all of these things. I think I'd saved up some cash when I started, and I put £1,000 into Google advertising. It's a good story. And wrote all the ads. I was very proud of myself, and kind of sat there waiting for the phone to ring. 25 minutes later, I'd spent £1,000 because, like a dick, I'd selected worldwide. So my ads for pest control had gone out worldwide, and I lost £1,000 in half an hour.
Oh.
Which, when you're starting out and everyone's been there, you're literally watching every penny. So learnt about Google Ads and spent many a night lying in bed listening to YouTube videos and podcasts and how to work Google Ads. Picked up some contracts, picked up some work, and it was going really well. Jamie had also gone out on his own, and we started to do a little bit of work together, and that kind of grew legs. And we'd kind of found a little gap in the market with solar panel proofing when it was really new, and we worked together, and it was sort of a daily thing that we were doing that. And then an old client of mine from a well-known British flag-carrying airline phoned me up and said, "You've gone out on your own, haven't you? Let's have a chat." So we went and had a chat, and a couple of hours later, he offered me the UK-wide contract for that airline, all of their property, all of their hangars, on the premise that I don't let him down and make sure I deliver. And at that point, it was just me. So quick phone call to Jamie, and Jamie and me made a decision to roll our own independent businesses into one, and that was the start of Integrum, going full throttle.
That's mad. So I have to ask though, and it's been like the second you said it, I've wanted to know, what does Integrum mean? How did you get that name?
It's Latin for complete.
Should have known that. No, that makes perfect sense. Like,
I've spent years wishing I'd never chosen it, because I'll just spend days with people going, "It's integral, Integrum, what is it?" But at the time, you're just starting on where you are. I wanted something that just was a bit different. It was at that point, it was just a name that was on an invoice.
To be fair, your name means so much, and at the same time, I don't think there's any of us that probably haven't thought at some point, should have spent another 10 minutes on that. I mean, honestly, even my consultancy, Wade Environmental, I thought, how, that sounds great. And until, of course, I wrote the email address, and it's Wade Environmental. There's 2 E's in the middle, and the number of emails that never got sent because people missed the double E was just, like mad, absolutely mad. But that's how you got to Integrum. That's literally half the story, really, isn't it? Because it certainly has become more exciting over the last, different, let's say, over the last year, 18 months.
Yep. So it was October 24, I think we completed. So having kind of built Integrum up and done what we done, and gradually taken on more staff and more problems, and more problems, we kind of built up, and we were approached by several people actually in quite short order, that wanted to have a chat and hadn't ever thought about it. In all honesty, we were quite happy doing what we were doing and ticking along and growing in the way we wanted to grow. And something, as I say, we had 3 people approach us, and something that one of my old bosses has said to me was, always listen. If someone makes you an offer, always listen, because you don't know what the offer is. And we did, and we were offered offer something that pricked our ears. But ultimately, this was a year before, or just over a year before we actually moved over, and we turned it down. And we kind of sat on it and watched what was going on and thought, do you know what? There's quite a lot happening in the pest control sector at the moment. There's a lot of things happening. And me and Jamie were sat in the office, I think it was a Friday, and we were just chatting and went, we probably had a bit of a crap day, and there was 1,000 disasters, and you know, as you do, you spend most of your day sort of shoveling shit, and it's just the depth that varies. And we said, oh, maybe we should have listened. Maybe we should have had another chat. And we reached out, had a chat, and done a deal. So we're kind of now part of Tyro Group, which has been fantastic. Really, I cannot knock it. There was no bullshit. What was said is what has happened. Can't really knock it. It's not really a huge difference. I think the day that we completed and officially joined, we were sat up at our office, almost waiting for someone to turn up and knock on the door and ask for the keys. And yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's your new targets. Here's this. Here's that. And no, we've been left to do our thing. They made it clear from the start they're interested in the people. They're interested in the people and the way it's run.
That would be my next question for you, because of course, when it comes to the servicing companies, let's just say that, you know, we all know Rentokil, Ecolab, what was Mighty, but you know, Terminex, and then Anticimex, Orkin, all of those, Virgo to an extent. Everyone understands and knows those groups, and when they go on a rampage and sort of like start snapping up companies, people kind of know what to expect. And now we've got these two very strange outliers. We've got you know, the Pest Professionals, which is doing its own thing, and then we have Tyro Group, which I have to say I think most people misunderstand what Tyro Group is, because people probably look at Tyro Group and say, Tyro Group, Virgo. But of course, in reality, you've got Tyro Group, and then you've got Virgo, JG, I think, Pest Fix, and then a whole host of other you know, national or you know, local franchises operating within that umbrella as well. So can you explain to us what Tyro is? What is this sort of like unifying entity that sits above all of these entities?
Yeah, so Tyro Group is a company, a business in its own right, that is majority owned by an investment company. What I can say is all of us are investors in that. So in essence, we left our business, but it's still our business. And all the sort of leaders of, certainly in the UK, that I'm aware of, we're all business partners now in one way or another. It's still our business. We have to report into a board level and explain our numbers and explain where we're going, and as you would in most companies. But you've got a whole lot of really good companies that all do their own thing. If you look at the group companies, they all do their own thing. So Virgo do what they do, which is, you know, the equivalent of sort of Rentokil and your Ecolabs and that national level delivery. You've got JG, which are fantastic with a domestic reactive. They have absolutely sussed that on a big scale.
I was about to say, I was having a look a little while back at JG's. You know, you were talking about Google ads, but I was looking at their like market penetration for adverts. It's insane, like genuinely. Like I don't know who does the marketing and the sort of like targeted advertising for JG, but it's crazy. Like
they do it. They do it.
Okay. Yeah.
But you know, for them, they will get a technician anywhere in the UK. same day.
I mean, there we go. It's the Uberification of pest control at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was something that I learned, especially when I went out on my own. When it comes to domestic pest control, the vast majority of people, the vast majority, in my experience, care about two things: how soon can you get here, and how much is it?
Yeah,
that is generally it. I can remember doing ads myself for wasp nests, and I'll bring it up all the time. I ran an ad, and I thought, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to put the price on it and when I can attend on a Google ad.
mm-hmm.
And there was nothing with it. I didn't put anything about being a BPCA member or insured or any of that. Just, I think it was like 70 quid, same day in the wasp season. Best ad campaign I ever run. And I tried to pick, short, sweet. I tried to push it so it was the second advert down in Google Ads. That was where I wanted, because people would find the first one, ring them up and go, "Oh, I've got a wasp nest. How much is it?" They get a price. "Oh, when can you come?" "Oh, tomorrow or Thursday." "Okay, I've talked to my husband. I'll let you know." You know, the usual thing. And then if I could be the next one down, they already know, they've got all the information. It'll be today and it'll be this much. So it was almost pre-qualifying people to call. They knew how much it was and they knew when the attendance was. And it was the best.
I mean, that's it. That is the Uberification principle in a nutshell, that is, which is, and I know for those who haven't heard about it, I mean, really give this some thought, because we're so cagey with our prices naturally, because you don't want the guy down the road being like, well, he's doing it for 130, so guess what, Sonny Jim, 115 it is. And you know, so prices are a bit difficult, but you've got to imagine, like, why do people buy from Amazon? Because the prices are there, you click, you know, and there's even a button, one click buy, in there now, nice and easy. Why do people use Uber? I mean, so when you land at a train station or you get off a plane or the rest of it, arguably the local taxi companies are more reliable, they're cheaper, and they're more trustworthy than Uber. Let's be fair, they are all three of those things. But people don't use them because A, they don't know how to find them, and B, people worry that when you sit in the taxi, you can see the meter clocking up and up and up and up, and oh my god, it's getting higher, it's getting higher, it's getting higher. Look, if you have an app on your phone that says this is going to cost £100, even if it's more expensive, people are like, okay, I can budget for that mentally. No hidden expenses, no freakouts. No one's going to sort of like tag on an extra £25 service charge at the end of that. And I can do it on the phone, and I don't have to talk to anyone, and it's great.
It's the Amazon world, isn't it?
Absolutely. There's a reason that Amazon and Uber are the two leading companies in their fields, because people don't like to talk to people. Let's be brutally honest.
No, it's click. I want it now. I did it earlier today. I said to Jamie, we were at the office, and I was like, "Oh, I need to order some fishing hooks, and I need to order these bits." Normally, I go to the tackle shop, but I sat there looking on Amazon because I thought, "Oh, if I get them tomorrow, if the weather's good Sunday, I could get out for a." And I kind of stopped myself and went, no, because there's a guy in a tackle shop that's relying on me coming in and spending less money than I'll pay on Amazon to keep his business going. But you just go to Amazon. "Oh, I'll get it here tomorrow by 9 a.m. And then you get outraged when it's not here by 9 a.m. What do you mean it's going to be 3 days to get it delivered?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like I did exactly that same thing on Amazon the other day. Like, I ordered something and it said in the basket, and it's like, "Oh, this will be here in a week's time." And I was like, "No, fuck it, I'm going to take the anyway, like, a week. Come on, if it was that important to you, Wade, you would piss off down to the shops and pick it up yourself. You just go to screw figs and don't be such a lazy bastard." But we all do it. We all do it. So I mean, we should genuinely probably have a look at this in our own industry, because we are late adopters. Let's be brutally honest. The pest industry is a late adopter to technology in almost every sense of the word. But with that, I mean, well, before we move on and we do talk about technology, because there's a couple of technology bits that you know what I'm going to ask you and what I'm going to talk about. But Sean, I mean,
Tell you the only thing I'd love to ask you is when you moved and you changed, or when Tyro took over, has it changed the way you view your business in terms of like now you've got to keep shareholders happy rather than just keep yourself happy?
No, it hasn't. I've got to be honest. We have to remind ourselves that it's not solely ours anymore. I think if you've done it and you sold it, like there's companies out there and there's people out there that just want to buy your portfolio. We've seen it for years with others. We want your portfolio. People aren't really interested in the staff. They aren't interested in you. They want you to do a handover so they get as least amount of terminations as they can, and they do that. But no, as I say, that kind of first week when we moved over to Tyro, that was strange because we were expecting something, and we kind of chatted with some other people, and ultimately part of what they wanted was us and the way we done it and the bits that we do. And in essence, with us, they got kind of a technology driven business that specializes in high risk environments. And why mess with something that isn't broke?
So what's Tyro's end goal then?
So where they sit, so at the moment it's a private equity. So at the moment you've kind of got the people at the top that have got all these businesses now around the world that are all doing well and generating cash. There is synergies. There is things that work. Like I was chatting with Lex just before this. You know, we've got a group of people that kind of all work in their own sectors for the different businesses that there is. They all work in their own sectors, but when I first went out, I worked a lot with other independent pest controllers. And it was great. You would ring each other up and go, "Oh, have you got air vent covers? Have you got this? Can I grab some? I'll order some." That's really nice. But I feel that as you kind of get bigger, you're not huge, but you're bigger than just you. There's kind of some people that want to sit behind. They want to sit in their bubble. They want to do 75k a year, maybe. They don't want to go over the VAT threshold. They just want to be a sole trader. They just want to do their thing. And I kind of lost some of those friends I had when I was at the beginning. And then you've got other people like Mark Porter that's growing his business. You know, me and Mark have done loads of work in the past together, and we're good friends. And there's kind of two directions that people want to go, I think, in pest control. You kind of want to sit where you are and go out on your own. And then there's other people that want to get bigger. And we kind of lost that sharing. I missed that sharing bit of people working together. And we all talk to each other in the industry and we kind of get along, but up to a point. And being part of the group is quite good because you've kind of got other business leaders that you can ring up and bounce ideas off of. You can turn around and go, "Do you know what? I need 15 new vans this week, in the next month for techs. They're all coming to the end of the leases. Well, I need 15 new vans as well. Okay, let's go to Ford and tell them that we need 30 vans. What price can you do on them?" They're the bits that are really interesting and good, kind of working together as a group. So there's lots of synergies on that.
But do you think Tyro's going to be here in 10 years, 20 years, 25, 30 years? Are they, because I was watching a thing where it was like, you can buy lots of small businesses and you'll get like 3 times EBITDA, won't you? But if you go over a particular amount, all of a sudden you'll jump to 5 times. So it's like you can buy them up and buy them up and buy them up and then sell it on at a massive sort of increase for no sort of more, if that makes sense, than what's went into it. So are they doing that? Are they literally thinking they're going to be in competition with Rent a Kill for the next 30, 40, 50 years? Right.
That's kind of their strategy. I mean, at the moment, we are certainly from our point of view, we're cracking on, continuing what we're doing, continue expanding. We've had another business come into us a few
that happened
months
this
ago.
week, didn't it? Did you not have one this week? I seen on was it BD or something like that?
JG
No,
had one.
No, there's another one today. Was there not the BD or something like that that came up? Let's have a look. See if I can find it. I thought he's had another acquisition this week. I'm gonna say no.
UK or Europe?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find it.
While you're finding that, I mean, I would talk a little bit about private equity, because it's a bit of a sort of like, I wouldn't say dark art, but it's sort of like people don't quite understand it. You know, you talk about banks and we just think about financial crashes and, you know, horror, terror, screaming, you know, and the rest of it. But actually, from my understanding of what these, because there's more out there than you think, the Pest Partnership, Tyro. There's the group that bought Terminex, which was a Nordic company like Nordgrow or something like that, Norvesta. Then you have Envu is technically owned by a private equity company as well. And this all, I believe, stems from, there was a couple of reports, or in fact, there's a financial report that comes out every 3 to 5 years that explains the state of various industries around the world and, you know, in Europe. And weirdly enough, or not, maybe not weirdly enough, pest management is one of those industries that has shown year on year reliable growth of that industry. Not just reliably, but predictably, and in a fairly sort of like measurable way. And from that, it's a really sort of like lucrative for these banks or these banking groups or these investment groups to put money into it. And they're not necessarily buying it to sell it off, because they'll buy them on and then they will take a skim of that profit. So let's say I invest £1 million, as do my 9 other buddies, £10 million to go buy as many companies. They make money, they skim off the top. In 5 years, they've got their £1 million back plus 15%, better than you're ever going to do in any kind of bank. And at that point, they have the option to relinquish their shares to the next guy for £1 million to step in to have his share as well. And that's generally how these entities work. So they're not necessarily looking to buy to then asset strip to then sell on. They are literally using that predictable growth in lieu of the interest rates that you would get from investing into government bonds, stocks, shares, and commodities. It's my understanding of how these entities are working, and that's how they're making their money.
You look at pension funds.
Exactly that, yeah. And anyone in the comments is more than welcome to sort of like correct me if I'm wrong, but that's from my viewpoint, that's how they're working. And so there's nothing sinister about it. It is literally an investment deal, and they're not likely to collapse overnight unless something catastrophic happens to the pest management industry. And as I've always said, there's going to be 3 things that we can guarantee in life, and that is, death, taxes, and pests. This industry is always going to be here in some shape or form.
It's not different. It's not different to pension companies and banks and these kind of things. Look how many pension companies own shopping centres or industrial estates. They're doing exactly what you said, Lex. They're buying them for a certain amount. DNR, yeah. They're buying these and they know that they're profitable. It's like you said, pest control and pest management's got generally a good margin. Everybody should know roughly what their margin is and what they're doing. And if a company can spend a chunk of money and pull out an element of that margin and then potentially in the future do something with it or keep it, that's the way it works.
And I think that's the thing. That's the great thing, isn't it? Which is for you to be attractive to these companies, all you need to do is at the end of the year show a profit. That's it. Because that's the little bit that they take off the slice, and whether or not it's enough to make a cake or a crumpet, it's going to be enough for everyone in that. But with that, I mean, away from the comments, away from the numbers and the rest of it. for the next sort of like little bit, I do want to talk about something that Integrum, that the thing that made Integrum unique, I think, probably, out of all others, is you managed to fairly early on secure yourself. And I don't know how, I don't know if you can go into it or explain to it, but you somehow managed to wrangle the rights to be the distributor for what might be one of the most novel bits of bird technology out there. So without giving the game away too much, go on, give us a little bit of the lowdown on that.
You're talking about the bird alert system, aren't you?
Absolutely, I am. Yes.
Yeah. So I will divert all credit to that to Jamie. So what a lot of people don't know is Bird Alert had tried to be launched in the UK for a couple of years. I think it was about a year and a half before we picked it up, and nobody had any interest in it. It was, it was witchcraft and it's never going to work and all of these bits. And I remember Jamie coming in and saying, I found this bit of kit. It's worth a look. We'll buy one and take it apart and do what all good blokes do and try and break it and see what it's made of in case it's just a tape recorder inside and all of this. And we got it and had a play with it and was like, wow, this actually works. So we put it out a few different sites. We actually took it down to Brighton on the seafront. We just threw it in the back of the car, went down there and activated this system and watched Brighton lift with
Worst
goals.
mobile disco ever.
Yeah, we just watched it. There was, hundreds of people there going, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? So then we spoke with Wild Tech, the people that make it, a guy called Rene, lovely guy, and said, yep, we like this. We'll market it, we'll do it. We give you some data on some of the sites that we use and how it works at the airports and things like that. And we done a deal. So we exclusively distributed Bird Alert system. For those that don't know, it works by detecting the unique call of individual species of birds that it will work. Runs it all through an algorithm, which goes back through a whole load of data, including from every other unit that's out globally, to what kind of distress call, what kind of frequency, what kind of volume works for the longest amount of time. And the system automatically adjusts and plays back the relevant distress call. And certainly for gulls, corvids, starlings, and geese, it's phenomenal. It works brilliant. The caveat I would say to always, if you can put a net over it, it's done. I say that to every customer. If you can physically exclude them, it's done. Don't worry about that. But then when you've got, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the places, you've got a lighthouse in the middle of the English Channel that's getting demolished. You can't put a net over it, but you can put a Bird Alert unit out there and stop and reduce the amount of nesting. So we started putting them out. It was kind of a slowish first year. We got contacted by the BBC that had some problems with crows dropping stones through glass windows, ballast stones off of roofs. And we suggested putting one of these systems out because every time they dropped a stone on these glass windows, it was costing nearly 20 grand. So they were more than happy to try it. We put it out for a week and they ordered one for every site, every BBC site in the country.
That's incredible.
They were replacing windows. They had to have a rolling program to replace sort of skylight windows. But it was cranes. It was shutting of Westway over in West London. It was huge, and they were literally doing them every week because of crows dropping stones.
Westway is that huge shopping mall on the M40, isn't it? Or just over the end of the
Yeah. There's a big one over there. Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
Just by Westfield Shopping Centre in West London. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, so
Oh.
it worked, and we kept doing it, and we literally, I put it on LinkedIn a couple of hours ago. We'd done another one using them and lasers down at a helicopter landing pad for the air ambulance down in Sussex, and that went live yesterday with the first person flying in for critical care by an air ambulance directly on top of the hospital. And that was a combination of lasers and bird alert systems on there that we will claim is the most technology driven advanced bird mitigation system in the UK on top of this helipad on Brighton seafront.
Literally all singing, all dancing, just not to a tune or a light show that any bird wants to be a part of.
Have you ever had them fail?
Pardon?
Have you ever had them fail, or there's circumstances where they're not suitable?
Geese we've struggled with. Other countries that have got it out have had phenomenal results with geese. We've kind of struggled with it a little bit. Corvids and starlings, it just works. Gulls are challenging. It's normally when people don't think about it. So anyone that's done any form of gull control, going back when it was kind of license free, if a gull's nested or it's got young, there is nothing that's going to move it. You can, I know when I first started and we had to do egg and nest removal, we would literally wear waterproof suits and go up on the roofs with umbrellas trying to do egg and nest. The system won't work for that. It won't work for pigeons at all. But probably the biggest failure, Sean, and I'll hold my hands up to it, is men sticking with it. That is the biggest failure, because we all do it. No one wants to read the instructions. We all think we know better. They bugger around with it and mess the settings up or turn it off. That is probably the biggest call we have about them. Sort of tech support call is system stop working, it's broken, and you log in, and of course because it's tech, it's got a log of everything that's been done, and then you'll see someone logged in, muted the speakers, and then logged out. It's blokes sticking with stuff that they don't know. There's a
defense to that. I have never fiddled with the settings on anything in my life ever.
We've all done it, haven't we? We get something new, and it's not very long before a set of screwdrivers come out. No, of course you don't.
Definitely not.
Of course you. I wonder what happens if I take this cover off and just have a look, and then you put it all back together, and you've got a handful of screws left.
I've done that in real time, and in fact, I did it in your office. Remember, I came to sort of like do some training for one of your lads, and it was at the same time that the what's it called, the electromagnetic wire one, what's it called?
Flock off.
No, it's not. He's talking
I was like, I'm really interested in this. So how does it work? And he had a system, and I was just like, oh, do you reckon we could like pull this apart? And like Jamie from underneath his desk just put in a bucket of bits.
Like, Aviation.
No, Flock off.
Oh, Flock off, right.
Yeah.
Flock off, or it's changed its name now.
Someone's just taken that on as the sole distributor, haven't they?
Let me find out.
I think. Oh, just quickly, not to interrupt you, I need to make an adjustment from last week. I said that Pest Sense traps were no longer available because I couldn't get them to work. I did say don't quote us on that because I don't know if it's true. It wasn't fucking true. It was Trudex, them COVID test things looking for bed bugs. They can't get them to work. So
no.
I was right. I just had the total wrong product. So yeah, don't listen to a word I fucking say.
I was about to say I was 100% certain that Artec, London School Artec.
No shit though, they don't fucking work. But that's beside the point.
That's beside the point. So yeah, back to Flock Off, because Flock Off was one of those that seemed like the next big technology innovation. It had a really good story, even though it sounded a little bit difficult to swallow. Give us a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, so flock off system. I've got several setups of those and several buckets of bits of flock off, because we, if someone pleads something and says it works in this way, the first, as per what I've said a minute ago, you're going to take it to bits. So the first thing we done is got one and then took it to bits to see what it was. What I would say, it works, but it has a single point of failure, is what we found. So if we found if it wasn't installed exactly and it wasn't set up perfectly, it was all or nothing.
Okay.
And it did work. Pest's done some really, really good work with it, trialing it, and it was phenomenal. The first time we saw it was set up on a shipping container down on the south coast, and they were feeding this shipping container. So the gulls were coming in, they were used to feeding, pretty much everything was. System was turned off. Turn the system on, they wouldn't come near it. But a bit like an electric fence or avishock, if that wire shorted out, touched, wasn't quite right, the whole system's down. And when you've got a system like that was pricey, it was expensive, which is great if it worked all the time. It was expensive, but you're going to be putting those systems out. You're going to be bringing cherry pickers in. You're going to be doing big installs. And then, a week later, a twig lands on it and knocks it out. You're then putting all of that back. So I'm not sure where they're at with it at the moment. We don't use it. We've done a big trial of it in an aircraft hangar at Heathrow, and it worked very good. But then we had the same thing. I think a spider made a web over it that blew down, and that was it. It was shorted.
It's mad how twitchy it is. I remember going out to the States and meeting Andy, and Andy, who we've had on the podcast a couple of times, and he'd installed a system, and it was interesting because it wasn't like it was infallible, but you looked at yourself. We went up to the top of this like multi-story car park that was on top of the building as opposed to underneath it, like really where all the offices were below. And with that, like you could see all of the other buildings around there were sort of like they all had birds on them. Like you could see the birds all kicking about. But there weren't any birds on this. But to say that there were no birds would have been a lie, because as we were stood there, this one heroic pigeon just went whoosh. And because of the distance between the floors, basically, because it was like that, there was like, because it operates in a 6-foot bubble or something like that. And because the actual height between the two stories of the car park was like 12 feet, there was this sort of like envelope at the top where they just, or the bottom, sorry, should I say, where they were just sort of like able to shoot through and underneath. The funny thing was, is when it tried to come out, it was looping and looping on the inside of the car park until it got looped low enough to go underneath the I don't know, the envelope again. So it's interesting stuff.
It's nearly there. It's nearly there. We tried it on Lady in Bay doors, because that was going to be the big one for us, and it was good. If you had birds walk towards it or go at it slowly, you could see them become disorientated with the system and the way it worked. So for those that don't know, it sent out an electromagnetic pulse that affected the internal compass within a bird. They say that the birds can almost see like the grid lines, the magnetic grid lines of Earth, which is how they navigate and things like that. But it kind of messed it up. And the way that we kind of explained it, it was almost like giving them vertigo. They couldn't work out distance or anything like that. So it was humane, didn't kill them. They just wouldn't be able to land. They struggled with that. And we put it out around these Lady in Bay doors for a large supermarket chain. And we looked at it and thought, this is good. Look at them. Look at the birds. They're not going. They go to fly towards the door, and then it's kind of screwing them up. They can't do it. They fly off. But then you had one pigeon that come in from the building over the road, and he come in like a rocket. And you could see him get to the door, get to about 6 foot away, and kind of go, but then made it through.
Hmm.
And that was it. You know what feral pigeons are like once they've sussed it. So they wouldn't come around the edge. They wouldn't walk him. They would just hammer him from the other building, put up with it for a few seconds, and yeah,
proper little like Naturo run, wings back, face forwards.
Yeah, that's it.
You find that though, don't you? Like we find that if you do a pigeon install of spikes or bird free or whatever it is, there'll always be like one cockbird that's just a knobhead in it. That's like walking through the bird free gel, got himself stuck on the spikes, and he's forcing his way in like a bullhead because he's just not going to give up. And you're like, that was him. That was definitely.
There's always a dick, Sean. Everywhere.
He's the bloke that was like touching the shit in the box that he shouldn't have been. He was the pigeon with the 3 extra screws. What We've had loads of pigeon jobs where you go back and you shoot one pigeon and that's it, done. You know, there might have been 20 on site, 40 on site, 39 of them have fucked off, and that one bird is just going to give you a headache, and you go back, shoot them, and it's game over, like, and that's the end of it. But I don't know. I always think that it's the dominant cockbird, and I know there's not necessarily a dominant cockbird in a flock of pigeons. But I used to keep pigeons when I was a kid, and there was always that one cockbird that was a bit bigger, a bit stronger, and was just a bit of a bullhead, wasn't it? Like you can almost see it when you're doing the install as well, can't you? Because he's the first one that sits close to you, watching you. Duddy, what are you doing? You're like, oh, you fucking.
It's normally a white one as well. It has to have some form of colour variation where it really stands out. I've had it when I was a gamekeeper and I was trying to sort of dog in all the birds back into the woods. It was always that one white pheasant. And you sit there in your head and you're going, that fucking prick is leading all the other ones away now. Look, it's him. I'm going to shoot him tomorrow. That'll deal with that problem.
Yeah, that is exactly it. And there's always one pigeon, isn't there, on any of them jobs?
Yeah, there is. But yeah, no, it works. But it don't work well enough to put it out, in my opinion.
Simterra. I think that's the name they are now. I'm doing a bit of search. Simterra Pulse is the one. So there. But I mean, it's there's so many sort of like technology responses to birds. I mean, so what was it that made you? I mean, you may not. It's just my assumption that you specialised in birds. Did you not? It's just my opinion I have of you guys.
Yep. So it probably started. So we've always worked within, or certainly most of my pest control career, across all the companies I've been involved in aviation. It was kind of something I sussed quite early on. If you can do something specialist and it's a bit out of the box, there's work there. And if you do it good, there's plenty of work there. It's kind of one of those industries, or certainly aviation and things like that. Once you're in, and you do a good job. You don't bullshit people, and just do a good job. You're kind of there, and a big part of that is birds. You know, we deal with birds all day long. You know, in public health settings and all of those things. But in the aviation sector, you're dealing with a bird can kill 600-700 people and drop a plane out of the sky.
That is a phenomenal amount of responsibility and accountability to carry on your shoulders when you've set up your little laser and your bird alert system, and you've turned around to the air traffic controller and said, "No more problems, mate, send the planes into the air." Do you not get like really anxious as you see that sort of like plane take off, and at the corner of your eye you see dickhead pigeon coming into land? I mean,
there's loads. So if you look at some of the big airports, aside from what we do, they have a number of people from dawn till dusk, and their whole job is bird strike mitigation. They are scaring birds away, and it's not just about scaring the birds away, it's where are they going to go? What way are they going to take off? So automation is really, really challenging at an airport. So automated lasers, automatic gas cannons, any airports and the CA don't like automation. They don't like it. So there's been kind of a lot of work in the background with automation just to try and get them to see how it works. And you wouldn't put automation out on the critical, what you call the critical area, so that approach and takeoff from a runway, which you wouldn't put it there, but where you've got water holding ponds. So all airfields, you may or may not have noticed, they seem to have a lot of lakes and a lot of ponds and a lot of sort of man-made canals around them. It's all to hold the runoff off of the airfield. So, okay, let's put automation on all of those to keep the birds off of them, and then the people can just focus on the runway. I was having a chat with someone today, and this would be an interesting one. So if you go to do a job and put a bird net up on a building, and it's on the approach or the departure path to an airport, do you think you have to tell anyone?
Like, do you have a duty of care to say that you've displaced those birds, a large number of birds, potentially into the path of an oncoming plane? Like, so you just imagine, I've suddenly got these horrible visions of someone stood on top of sort of like an office building, turning on their bird alert, the birds going whoosh, and literally just straight into the path of an oncoming plane, and just stood there being like, oh, we fucked up. Like,
you'll be like this, wouldn't you?
Just turn it back off and like walk back to the car. Like, what the fuck?
So if you do any bird mitigation or any netting, so there's people at each airport that will go out, 5-6 miles from that approach, and they will document everything on that approach and departure for birds, and it'll form part of the bird strike mitigation plan for the airport. So
if you off on the airport, though, isn't it? We've seen this in some of it's usually one firm, isn't it, that seems to do all airports, and they just fucking rip their eyes out, don't they? Like I was talking to a lad who was, I won't say which airport, but he said he went out with this ecologist and he literally like drove the road round, didn't look at fuck all, wrote a report based off nothing and charged them a fucking fortune for it. I was like, really? He's like, oh yeah. He said, like, the term money for old rope. Like, so I would hate to think it went wrong, because if it did and they hadn't been doing the job, they'd be hell on, wouldn't they?
That all sits on them. We say it to the guys, and it's not to make them twitchy, it's just to kind of understand. So we do airside driving, we can cross, depending on the airport, we can cross taxiways and runways and things like that in our vans and vehicles, and we pay handsomely for that with our insurance company. But if you cause a aircraft to deviate, that includes on the ground. So if it's just chugging along on its way there, it is tens of thousands, and every cost and knock on of that. So that aircraft, technicians there, rolling a fag, having, on his way across or whatever it is, and they cause that plane to slow down, it is costing you tens of thousands. And if it misses its slot and all those passengers, and it's in the wrong country, and all of that comes back on you.
Why are you doing this? Like, just go kill some rats on a farm. I mean, like, this is this is so anxiety inducing. Like, what part of this is appealing to you? Like, I mean, it's insane.
There's nowhere like it, Lex. Honestly, mate, there is nowhere like it. Last year, I was there in my car on the airfield, going alongside the Beluga from Airbus as it landed at Heathrow.
Well, the A380, like the proper.
No, the one that carries chunks of planes in it.
Oh shit, that one, right?
Yeah. Last year, one of the airlines done an open day, and we had to check some bits for them. So we were inside the engine casing of Concorde that they brought round to put out. And again, you could be dealing with all kinds of weird stuff. We used to do a lot for the US Air Force. We used to do a lot on their fighter jets and their helicopters and things like that. It's a different world.
How do you put trust in lads at that level And how do you keep them motivated at that level so it doesn't just become another job for them? Because that's when shit goes wrong, and when things creep in.
It does, and it makes me twitchy. I mean, I've worked at the airport now for, it's probably not far off 20 years, 19, 20 years across multiple companies. And the thing with an airport, if you look at somewhere like Heathrow, the size of that is basically a town.
Which Heathrow? Which of the three like terminal ports are we talking here? It's
Heathrow. What is it? It's is it 5 miles? I think from one side to the other. It's dealing with a town. So at Heathrow, generally at any point we've got 2 or 3 techs just at Heathrow, but it is like dealing with a town. You know, one day you might be going around a retail unit that's one of our customers. The next time you might be looking at, you know, waste disposal or netting or bird calls or automation or into a plane because somebody thinks they've seen a mouse in a plane, so you're there with engineers stripping the interior out. It's bonkers, but what I've always found is the techs that we have at the airport, they either love it or they hate it. And I'm always quite straight with the techs. If you don't enjoy it, you don't like it, and it's not engaging you, tell me. Tell me, because there's stuff outside the airport. But people, the guys love it. They're part, you know, the airline that we do a lot of work for. They're part of it. They're like part of the team, and they enjoy it.
Multiple pest control teams working for like different airlines, different bits. Is there sort of like a ready room with 30 pest controllers, all, you know, different liveries, sort of like, and the sirens go off and they're like, oh, that's Boeing, that's us, right, off we go. Or is it like, is it just you?
So you have so the airport themselves have a pest control company for the main airport that would do your sort of routine checks and bits and pieces like that. Where we kind of sit, we do a lot of retail, we do some government contracts at the airport. We do airlines, we do a lot for airlines. Because again, if you look at somewhere like Heathrow, a fair chunk of Heathrow Airport is British Airways.
Yeah, because they line all their planes up as you drive in and out. They made very, very clear that is their parking lot. You have to drive past like 50 planes. Yeah.
So we do a lot there. Outside of it, we do some smaller airports and bits. We do a lot of work with air ambulances. The vast majority of that we do free of charge.
Back to that. So that's, you know, how did you decide to do that? Because let's be fair, we're business owners here. We're driven by money and mercantile and the rest of it. So how did you get to the decision? I mean, it's an obvious why you chose air ambulance to do free of charge. But I mean, how did that come about? Because that's,
so we were approached several years ago. London Air Ambulance. This is when I was with Merlin. London Air Ambulance contacted us and they said we managed to get the money to buy 2 new helicopters for London, but they're coming from the Middle East, and someone thinks there might be snakes and lizards on there. So would you come out and do an inspection? We're going to get them taken to a remote site, and then we need you to come and look at them. So we went out and looked at them and was just chatting to some of the people, and they said, you know, I think at the time we agreed to do it for free. It was a good cause, and all of that. And they said, do you know what? The quotes that we had to do this would have saved 2 people's lives. It would have allowed us to do 2 flights. And what did it took like 2 hours of my time. And then we kind of went forward, and another air ambulance charity contacted us about a problem that they were having. Because we're kind of in that aviation sector, they contacted us, and it was in the building. It was, you know, anyone could have dealt with, any pest controller could have dealt with this. And we went down and had a look, and kind of said to them, who's doing your contract at the moment? And it was a big company, the biggest company. And
Rent-a-kill. Are you scared to say rent? Say it.
I'm not scared to say Rent-a-Kill. It's
not
just
fucking Voldemort, you know. Everyone comes on and says that. They're like, let's not
everybody will sit there and go, I bet it's Rent-a-Kill.
Yeah.
But they were charging them thousands for, in essence, what was an aircraft hangar and a couple of offices. And we said to them, look, we do it. We cover it. Because what does it, for us, it takes an hour to do the routine there. So, you know, it's not, I would think most companies could spare an hour of time, but based on what they were charging, so five of their missions, they called them, last year and the year before and the year before that were paid for by us. Okay. Just by giving up an hour of our time.
I mean, that's great. I mean, that's amazing. There needs to be more of that in the world, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to some other people and said, do you know what? There's, whatever there is, 26, I think, air ambulance charities around the UK. Mm-hmm. As a group of pest controllers, if we all gave up an hour of our time once a month, you know, to check a few internals, a couple of, you know, externals in a hangar, something like that. You imagine that as an industry.
I've got to be honest. I wouldn't do it for free. What a fuck. What a fuck. No. I've seen the big, you know, I get it. I get giving up that hour of a free time. But then I also get the MD driving around in the 100,000 car, you know, in the in the 100 grand a year pay packet, and I think, am I keeping these flying, or am I keeping him in the lifestyle that he's become accustomed to? You know, this whole charity thing. Yeah. I think is like if a larger percentage of the money that was donated went to them, I would donate a hell of a lot more, like a hell of a lot more. But when a small percentage is the, so for me, and I'm not saying I wouldn't give it to charity, we give it to lots of charities, but we personally, we support the small local ones that hurt, you know, that are at risk of going out. But I get your ethos, and it is an important charity and we need it, etc., etc. But for me, I wouldn't do that. I would definitely look at like the smaller local ones, but each to their own, innit? That's why we have different horses for courses, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. And it's only something we looked at last year because somebody mentioned it to us. Do you know how much work we've had off the back of it?
Yeah, and I get that. It's just, and yeah. So, yeah, here's a question then, because we get this a lot, like an awful lot. Are you doing charity? Are you doing marketing?
No, we're doing it charity. We're doing charity, but a consequence of that has become marketing. And we didn't realise. So you know, this job we done this most recent job we done at this helipad, that was an NHS trust that contacted us because they had to set it up, and they went to one of the air ambulances and said, what do you need to land your helicopter here? What's happening? And they went, do you know what? Speak to the guys at Integrum. They look after us. They've helped us with this, that, and the other. Speak to them. And then you end up doing just shy of a free figure or a 3-digit install on a helicopter pad.
Yeah, I get it. I wasn't having a go at you there. There's a local celebrity around our place, and what a fucking knobhead he is. Like, he's basically built his name off charity work, but there's not a drop of charity. Like, every single thing that he does is built around him, and it's a question that comes up around here all the time. Like, is it charity or is it marketing? You know, like, fuck me, like, he was. You know, when COVID hit, he was, you know, Ukraine hit, he was driving to Ukraine, he was doing all this sort of stuff. And when you meet him, he's the most selfish man I've ever met. And the reason why I asked you was it brings up that question, doesn't it? Like, is it charity or is it marketing? And I clearly from you, it's charity. I can see that a million miles off. But I see people who, you see these influencers, don't you, taking videos of them giving someone money in the street, and you're like, why'd you have to record
It's all bullshit, isn't it?
the money? Do you know what I mean? Like, just go give it.
It is, mate, and you see it. So you'll see some of these air ambulance charities, and they're all driving around in a brand new, I don't know, Mercedes that they've all blue lighted out, and you think, and it'd be kindly donated by Mercedes, just a name. And it's not a charity thing. They just want to go, do you want to buy this car? Look, the emergency doctors use it because it's so reliable.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well is, and this is the big thing with the air ambulances, isn't it? If you ever need them, you fucker, they'll be worth every penny you've donated to them, won't you? Or if your daughter or your son needs them, then that's a whole difference to some of the other charities on the market, and because they genuinely do come out. When I was a farrier, the amount of people who got picked up off horse accidents by them was fucking phenomenal. You should be made to buy. You should be made to buy insurance if you ride a horse, because the chance of you breaking your neck or your pelvis or your legs in the middle of nowhere needing cartwheeled off is incredibly high. You should, But yeah.
If you need them, you are deep in the shit, and you really need them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And
then it's worth every penny of everything.
Yeah. You'd certainly give 2 hours of your time up then, wouldn't you?
You would, mate. You would.
And you give 2 hours of your time.
They're going to fly over you, Sean, because you said you weren't going to do it, mate.
And I'll retrospectively do 3 internal nose box checks for this. My legs hanging off.
I'll be round on Monday morning.
Yeah, they'd pull up with me, wouldn't they? And be like, go and support your local charity. No, you fucker, we're going back to base.
Yeah. That's it, mate.
Wheeling you off back down the hill, just like, okay. Right. We're into the last 10 minutes of this. So I'm going to ask my one question of you, which is, Pete, you're a long time listener to this podcast. Do you have a question for Sean and I? Turn this on its head. Do you have a question that you've wanted to know, or that you want to ask the general population right now? So do you have, turn this 180?
Who's been your favourite guest on your show? Who has come in and gone, I wasn't expecting that, or they were a different person to I thought they were, or the most interesting? I'm intrigued with that.
I've got 2. I mean, number one, I absolutely loved the privilege and the joy of being able to interview my own, my own dad. That was fairly something awesome. That was like a really good bonding moment. I love that, and I still bring that up with him time and again. But my other one that I enjoy a lot is our first American guest, like Andy, as he came on, because he's always got some really erudite, he does his research before he comes on. He's like so prepared in terms of a guest. It's amazing, because you can ask him anything, you can see him flicking through his little book, being like, oh yes I've got this. So I really enjoy interviewing Andy actually when he comes on, and so those would be my 2, my old man and Andy.
Nice. Go on, Sean, you like poking the bear?
My favorite guest, without a shadow of a doubt, and the guest that I am the most thankful to, was Dave Helgelson, because when we first started this, there was nobody doing a podcast, and we're trying to get guests to come on, and there was a lot of people who were in a position that could have helped, and literally just fucking laughed at her, or what you on about, wouldn't come on, didn't see the value in it, thought it would last 10 seconds, they were taking the piss behind the scenes. And then Dave asked him out the blue. I didn't use Dave as a supplier at the time, etc. And he's like, yeah, come on, I'll help you. And I remember thinking, fucking what a man. And he came on.
He's a legend.
But it was noticeable that once he came on and did so well, it fucking changed everything. All of a sudden it went from no to people going, starting to insinuate that they might like to come on. The people who had said no, and you're trying to be cool about it. You're like, fuck off, you just, So we went through a period after him of spotting the takers, if that makes sense. People who wanted to come on and take rather than give, but I don't think we get them anymore. But my favourite guest, without a shadow of a doubt, was Scott Johnson from the BPCA.
I was about to say, yeah.
Like, he was just brilliant. He was,
Yeah, Scott's good.
yeah, he was just honest. He was straight down the line. And I might disagree with you. You might disagree with me, but you can have an open dialogue with Scott, and when you walk away, he doesn't take it personal. He's like, "This is where you are. This is where I am." He's a proper gentleman, and it was a proper robust thing. And I just, at the end of it, I can remember just thinking, like, "What a chap! Like, what a great bloke." But they were probably. I've had loads of that good ones. The Minkman was good one. He was crackers.
We didn't interview him. That wasn't a podcast. We didn't interview him. We put a camera on him and we sat and we observed him for an hour and a half.
Just went off like a fucking firework, didn't he? He went off like a firework. He was proper interesting as well, wasn't he? And he didn't hold no back. He just give you, didn't he? He was class. And Andy Sinevsky, Davy Browns was good. There's been loads of good ones, but the two that made the difference for me, David Helgelson, Scott Johnson, without a shadow of a doubt.
Do you know what? I will sing David Helgeson's praise. I'll see Mark Porter pop up as well. He will as well. David Helgeson, I could ring him tomorrow on a Saturday and he'd, "Hello, mate," and I could chat through something with him, and he would just chat it through, and he would do everything he could to help anyone in this industry. He just loves it. Whether you're a customer or not, he will do his absolute best to look after you. So no, I'll get that one, Sean.
Just lovely, man. And I tell you that I think the easiest person to interview, I didn't do the Bobby Corrigan one, you did, but I think the easiest person I've found to do a podcast with was Mark Porter the second time round, because he presents so much in his day-to-day life with his social media and that. Yeah, as Alex says, there's certain guests you can sit back and almost not ask a question, and they know the direction to take it, they know how to control it, and you're just like, that's fucking easy, this. And then there's others where you're like pulling teeth, it's difficult, but Mark's the easiest one.
No, Mark owes me breakfast, actually. Thanks for reminding me. I'm sure he'll remember that.
Yeah.
There we go. Breakfast is on you tomorrow, but I think we did a couple of themed ones over the course of the year. So the Asian Hornets was good. It started strong, but there's some folks in that that was difficult conversations, and not to name names, we had a couple of guests who, after the show had finished, were just like, "Well, and now I can tell you what we really think," and we're like, "Oh, shit, okay, that's mad. Like, why would you not use this as an opportunity?" But hey ho, there we go. Into the last couple of minutes now. So here it is. This is your opportunity for the famous three, the last three. So number one, have you enjoyed your time on the podcast?
It's been great. Yeah, no, I enjoy it on a Friday evening. I do watch it as much as I can, and it's nice being on it. My kids go past and go, "Oh, Dad's watching that thing again about rats," and
that hairy bloke and that baldy bloke are off one on again, like, Jesus Christ.
That's it. But no, it's good to be on. It's interesting. It's really interesting hearing people's stories as well. Just where people have come from, what they've done, and the way they do things. It's interesting. You've got to listen sometimes more than talk.
Famous philosopher Zeno said, "You've got two ears and one mouth, so you should listen twice as often as you speak."
Absolutely.
Good interviewer is a good listener. That's what I was taught when I was a policeman. It's the best thing I've ever heard. Good interviewer is a good listener, not a good talker. You've got to listen to what they say, don't you? Because that's what formulates the way you go, doesn't it? Yeah.
Silence makes people talk.
Yeah, exactly. Give us a shameless plug.
Try technology. In all honesty, try tech, because the biggest thing that's coming to pest control is going to be time. I said it not so long ago to somebody. Time. If you can save your time, that is what customers want, is your time. So anything you can do to save your time, have a look at it. Things like the pest cams. Everybody's jumped on now, or most people have jumped on the pest cams, whether that be on squirrel traps in lofts and things like that. That would have been your visits. What you got back is your time. don't necessarily look at the cost. Compare it to your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose that gives me the last one to wrap up with, which is, who would you like to see interviewed on Beauties and Beasties in the future?
Oh, who would I like to see? James Gale from JG.
I've spoken to James about coming on. I spoke to him last year at Pest Tech at the PCN dinner, and he suggested it. I asked him the year before. Well, I asked him the year before. He said he'd think about it. Then last year he said, "I'm going to come on, come and see us." And then I literally just never seen him for the rest of the night. So we have had that conversation, and I'm sure he will come on at some point. It's just fitting people in, isn't it? Maybe
He's a really interesting guy that not that many years ago was one bloke with a set of wasp poles in a van.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, actually, we've got Pestex coming up in literally 2 weeks now. Literally 2 weeks. So with that, have you got a stand this year, Sean, or are you just... No,
I'm just going down. But I never get a stand at Pestex. I just get it at Pest Tech. I have a walk around at Pestex and try to keep my head down.
Both Sean and I tell you what, we'll have a bit of paper, have a sign-up sheet. If you come and see,
I'm not taking paper. Go see Alex.
I'm taking paper. Just play.
I'm not doing it
on the podcast.
Listen, whatever Alex is saying now, don't come and ask me. Don't do it. I'm not doing it.
It's all about the teamwork.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you see Sean, kick him square in the nards. And if you see me, give me a big hug, and then sort of like, I will have a sign-up sheet. If you want to be on the podcast, give us your name and give us your email. And if you want to nominate someone to be on the podcast, give us their name and their email, and that'll be fine. And once again, and I can't stress this enough, if you see Sean, push him over.
Yeah. I'll hide.
You need one of those giant hands, Lex, on a pole, and you could just follow him around Pestex, just with Sean wrote on it.
He's here, get him.
Yeah.
Or failing that, just like a kid, like tie a balloon to his arm so everyone can see he's wandering about.
Yeah.
Right.
Be the shortest trip to Pestex going, wouldn't it, Sean?
You're going to see this bobbing balloon like running a hell for leather all around the show.
They could just put a big light on and my head would shine like a beacon, wouldn't it? I'll cut my hair like fucking just
We bring a laser.
Yeah.
Minded. Right. No.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I want to just say that's exactly what they should do. Leave me. I'm sick of being picked on by these two.
You're normally so quiet, Sean, aren't you? And just keep your head down, mate.
Yeah, it's not like me. So yeah, it's usually Alex doing the picking on around here, isn't it?
Yeah, because right, that's it. Like, this feels weirdly gaslighty. I'm always the one getting picked on. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully, you'll meet us next week. It'll be probably Sean and Hugh next week because I am off to go and have some adventures around the world, which I'll tell you about the week after. So that'll be very good fun. But with that, I think that's us all done. So thank you very much, guys. Night.
Thanks for me. God bless.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Beauties and Beasties podcast.